we don't beta anything. We just go and do it. And I love the fact that we're willing to share this out and say, this is what I'm planning, knowing full well in 6 months' time, we're going to listen to this podcast back and go, oh my God, what was I even? Oh my goodness, that was ridiculous.
This week, we're talking about the ins and outs of using paid memberships on some of the platforms. The perks, the pitfalls, what we like about them, what we don't like about them, and the memberships we're involved in. Let's get into it.
So do any of you have memberships?
Yes. I have a membership that I've been running since about I started betaing it in May of 2020, and it's been going ever since. And I am constantly thinking of ways to iterate and change it and all that kind of stuff. So I don't want to even start getting into it until we know what avenue we're going to go down. Like, what did you think about starting it or anything like that? So I'll just pause and see if anybody else wants to chime in on who's got a membership.
I'm a member of plenty, but I do not have a membership.
And you have strong opinions about them.
I do not. No, I like memberships. I like a few I don't. I mean, they're not that strong. You like what you like, and you don't like what you don't like.
I'm a member of a few, and but I did set up memberships. Actually, it was one of the first things I set up for my channel, even before I'd really launched it, when I found out about Buy Me a Coffee from Doc Rock, and it was a case of, you definitely need to get this set up from the outset. If you're even thinking about monetization, don't think you've got to wait for YouTube. And so I set up Buy Me a Coffee, and then one of the things you could do on there was set up different membership levels. So that was kind of like my first avenue into it. And I was really surprised how quickly people did actually sign up to that. And I had sort of 3 different levels of support there. But then since I've started being a lot more sort of proactive about building a real sort of community, thank you, Keely, on Discord, then that's sort of been a much bigger focus, and I've made it a much bigger thing. And then when the memberships got opened up on YouTube to my channel, then I've basically just duplicated what I've got on Buy Me a Coffee, although I moved Buy Me a Coffee in line with what I set up on YouTube is probably more accurate. So people can join on one or the other, because with Buy Me a Coffee, there isn't YouTube taking a massive cut of it, but they get the same benefit. There's the ease of use of memberships on YouTube. So while some people sort of bulk out and thinking, oh, well, YouTube's taking a bigger cut, they are. But on the other hand, as soon as I opened them up on YouTube, then there was people who just instantly signed up who obviously hadn't gone and done it on Buy Me a Coffee because of them having to jump through hoops to get to it. So that's where I'm at with it, but I'm looking to grow my whole membership side of stuff as well.
On YouTube, you don't have access to their email, or do you know who they are? Who people are? Who members are?
You know who they are in terms of the their YouTube handle. So you've got that.
Okay.
Yeah, so you do know that. It doesn't give you personal information in the same way that you do on Buy Me a Coffee, where you do know that kind of stuff.
But do you have any way to communicate with them directly without going through your community tab or broadcasting to the world?
No, you don't have like contact details that you can send them private messages, but you can post stuff that is members only.
Right.
So
I hope they see it, but
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like if you said, I want everybody, we're going to have a thing in Discord on Thursday. I mean, you got to post it there for them to see it. So that's
there is also that when they join up with YouTube, then there is a link in with Discord to a point where it automatically grants roles. So that's my whole thinking is I don't want to just drive people there. So they get roles automatically. The only slight caveat with that is they have to have done a little bit of work in Discord themselves to go and actually go into their personal profile and then link that to their YouTube profile. And then any memberships, their roles will just automatically get assigned to them. So many people have done that, but a couple hadn't. So when they signed up, they didn't automatically get the permissions in Discord. But other than that, people sign up for the Backstage Pass thing that I've got, then they instantly get access to that area of Discord.
So YouTube gets that, and your Buy Me a Coffee gets that, right? Both levels?
Yes.
I mean, both places? Okay. You don't have to be in both, and being in both didn't get you anything else. You just get
no.
I just made the other. Okay.
People the choice, basically, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome.
In the very beginning, I started with Patreon a long time ago, and I had like 3 different levels, and it was, nominal. The fee was nominal. And I started like with $3 and $5 and then like $9 or something like that. And I'm a part of quite a few of these Patreon memberships where you could do, members only stuff and different like videos, whatever, blog posts, whatever. And I set it up. I didn't really do anything with it. And then I guess something changed with the API and then it disappeared. Or they changed it to where it was now a paid service, because before I just went ahead and I set everything up and I had everything. I did all the graphics, everything. And then something changed. And so I was like, okay, I have it on my YouTube channel, that there is a Patreon that goes with my YouTube channel, but for whatever reason, it just changed. And so I just took it off. I did it with Buy Me a Coffee, and I actually had, people in that membership, which was nice, for a second, but I felt like I was like stretched out so thin that I didn't really have a strategy as to what I was going to place in different areas and how I was going to drive traffic. I didn't really have a strategy. I just heard you gotta get a membership. So I did it, and I was like, okay, now what? Without a strategy. So that's not a good look. It wasn't a good look for me. So I really need to really think about how I want to maximize the membership side of things, and then figure out, first of all, where I want them to go. If I want them to hang out in the Discord, then that's one thing. So the membership needs to be there. If I want them to hang out on Patreon, that's a different thing. So why would I want to do that? So I really have to think through that piece. I don't know, maybe I might be doing too much, but I've been accused.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't Patreon and YouTube take a big chunk of your membership fee?
Yeah, YouTube does. I don't know, is it 30% or something like that? It's like a really hefty chunk. But it is the fact that it is accessible. You can tell somebody in a video, click to join the membership, and then they can click below to do it. And so there's a balance between the accessibility of it versus the the hit that you're taking for that. Because I've been talking about my Buy Me a Coffee and Buy Me a Coffee membership since I started as well. But the day that I turned on YouTube memberships, I got more people sign up there than I'd had on the other, on Buy Me a Coffee. Not like I've got massive numbers in either place, but do you know what I mean? It was just noticeable that as soon as I just mentioned that I've got them available on YouTube, people were just hitting the button to join. So it's just that ease of use for people, I think.
Yeah.
There's another point there, though, about the different sort of tiers. And like some people will use the YouTube for the really low level tiers, which are, like a dollar a month or whatever it happens to be, between $1 and $5 or $10 a month, because that's the one that these people are more likely to make these sort of almost not quite impulse, but you know what I mean? Those ones where they just want to be able to get instant access. Whereas the much higher level tiers are ones where, if somebody's really interested in paying, $50, $100 a month for a membership, then they're probably more likely to go through the steps necessary to get to it anyway. So that's something else I've been thinking about, is where do I draw the line between the YouTube tiers versus the sort of paid, other tiers that I'm thinking of adding into this later.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I think Rich has brought up an issue that I think is really important for all of us to be thinking about when we are looking at membership switches. There's a difference between a sort of more platform agnostic style of membership, like what I have on my website. It's centered there, and it's a WordPress website. And the reason I started with that initially was that my vision for membership was I was going to provide this resource of umpiring clips. This is all for FH umpires. And people would be accessing them there because I made this custom post type in WordPress, blah, 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 blah. Everything was controlled there. And I was gathering people's data, obviously, because they would sign up with a WordPress profile and all that sort of thing. Then there was a hook into MailChimp. So I had them instantly going into my email campaign and that sort of thing. So there's a lot of friction there, but there's a real driven need. People can only get the clips if they go to my website. So signing up for the membership there makes sense. The thing that I find interesting about, say, a YouTube membership or Buy Me a Coffee or something like that is that if you're not providing a benefit of that membership in that situation, why? why do you have a membership on that platform? Because you're really disconnecting what the community members experience is from the thing that they pay in order to get to that community. And so it's a really interesting sort of problem. And Michelle, you said, yes, I think that, you got to figure out where you want your members all to be congregating anyway. And to me, that's the most important question. Where do you want your people to be? Where are you going to be providing them their membership experience, which for a lot of us might be mentoring services or special, training or community building cook-alongs or whatever that might be. Where are you going to do that? That's where your membership should be. That's where it should be paid. That's where your people should be entering and all that sort of thing, I think, because that's the stickability experience for them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, the reason why I went with Buy Me a Coffee first is because that was, I didn't have anything on YouTube at that time. I wasn't aware of Discord or anything. But also, this is coming back to that thing about what they're actually getting on those tiers. So one of my tiers is basically just, this is a tier to support me on a monthly basis, like as a, someone to support a creator, so on YouTube it's called Tip Jar, and the benefit is on YouTube specifically, they will show up as a member in chat, so that's one thing that some people like. I mean, I've got somebody who was a member in Buy Me a Coffee, and then when I launched on YouTube the memberships, they actually went on there as well, so they're in both places, even though they've got no added benefit except that I don't know whether they just were very generous and wanted to support in two places, or whether it was because they wanted that little check mark next to the name in YouTube. But one of the levels was literally just a membership that is just to support a creator, I suppose, the same way that I support some others. But then another level was for they get my digital download, so any new icon packs and things like that I make. So when I first set it up, there wasn't really actually, it was memberships, but there wasn't really a huge community aspect to it. So it was a case of if I made a new Stream Deck icon pack, they'd get that. It's only now that I'm doing more with the sort of Discord stuff with the Backstage Pass membership level where, there's that kind of thing going on, that it's in Discord. But there again, there are some people who still are not totally turned on to Discord. And I thought about actually turning on memberships in Discord as well, offering it as well in there, just as, the same as I've got on YouTube. But again, it comes back to this sort of accessibility and ease of use. If somebody's there watching you on YouTube, I mean, one of the benefits is that, the stuff that I'm doing on YouTube, I suppose, but it's that ease of use of people just being able to click it on that platform right there and then and get access to it. Whereas, mentorships and coaching and stuff like that, I'll be adding later. I'm going to have to think about how to actually integrate that and where to do that, whether that's paid through Discord or some other avenue. In fact, my memberships is probably going to be paid through Kajabi because they're going to get access to a lot of my course content, which is all hosted there. So that's probably how I would do my higher tiers, would be on Kajabi then.
Yeah. I think the kind of sticky point that we get into, though, is that we're using some terms interchangeably that maybe we don't all attach the same meaning to. So to me, there's patronage, there's subscriptions, and there's membership. So when we're talking membership, that specifically to me connotes a sense of community, that you're connecting with people who are also members, not just that you are a subscriber, where you are regularly getting something that is disconnected from other people. Like you subscribe to a podcast, you just get that podcast in your feed all the time. That's that. Patronage is I give you money with no expectation of getting anything in return. So those to me are three very different concepts, and maybe that's just me, but it helps to understand that, because you can start with a patronage and then you can move it to a subscription, or you could start with a subscription and then something like that. And when you start generating community, that's when you get into the membership part, where people are interacting with each other, not just you to the person. It's the network is bigger than that, if that.
That makes total sense. Is the issue with those different definitions is that subscriptions, I mean, we're talking about this in one of our other sessions, not other podcasts, where some people don't hit the subscribe button on YouTube because they think that means they're paying for something, whereas they're not actually. And then with YouTube, they class anything where people are donating through the thing through the platform as memberships. So apart from, one-off super chats and all that kind of stuff, but YouTube doesn't make that distinction either. It is, what the different tiers that you've got of YouTube memberships could just be that they're getting, that fuzzy feeling knowing they're supporting you as one of the levels, which is what my tip jar one is. So, but that's a great distinction though, the difference between patronage and membership. And that's certainly how my view has sort of shifted since setting up the Discord community.
That's interesting because I watch quite a few content creators who actually have Patreon memberships. I haven't pulled the trigger on a lot of them because I have a lot of stuff going out right now for my personal business. But at the same time, I kind of want to funnel hack it, just kind of get in there and see what it's all about. It's basically just kind of looking at what they're doing and figuring out, how I could then, figure out what my use case would be for it. I want to have a membership, but my biggest question to like what you were saying, Keely, is why and where it needs to be. I think that's the number one question that needs to be answered to figure out why, what are they going to get for it, and then where does it need to be, and then build from there, instead of just following everyone is like, oh, well, you need to do this, you need to do that. And I'm like, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out what they would get. Would it be just a patronage, like you have defined, where they would get nothing in return, expect nothing in return? And I think there's something beyond that. I think I want to be able to offer something. I just don't know what yet. The live streams are not necessarily growing the channel. So maybe what I do is I put those behind the member wall. The thing is you don't get people to be able to see how fun those are if they're not yet members. I've also been wondering.
You could post clips of those, 5-minute clips or whatever, or, a distilled version of the live.
Right. So the repurposed part. Yeah. That's stuff that I love doing.
It's got to be done. Yeah.
I do think that the thing about doing a live stream though, with the recorded video, I know that there's the concept of putting that behind the paywall, as it were, but I think that there is value in having that alongside the recorded content as well. And I wonder if it's just a case of having the time of, or rather the volume of recorded video at the same time as the live video. I mean, that's the whole reason why I did that sort of my first 100 days, 100 videos thing, just so that, because of what Doc said about, don't even bother looking at the analytics until you've done those first 100. So it could be a case of, not sort of overthinking it before you've got the volume there to sort of make any reasonable sort of judgment on that aspect. I mean, that's going off the community side of stuff, but I'm just saying I wouldn't be too quick to necessarily put the live streams behind the membership.
Okay.
Maybe some enhancement to that, or maybe additional ones, or for the people who really like them. I mean, it's say for example, it's like every other Thursday, but then or whenever it is, this first and third Thursday, but maybe there's one on the second and fourth, or whatever it happens to be, that is for the members, so that people can come in and get a taste of it and think I want more, and then they have to pay for the extra one. I mean, people do that with podcasts, don't they, where you can have a membership to the podcast and you get the regular version, plus you also get the bonus members one. So I wouldn't necessarily rush to hide away that live stream, because I think it's awesome, and it's just got to be given the time to get out there.
True. I'm only at 93 right now.
One of the live streamers in our world does a live stream on Fridays, and the second half of it is members only. So you can't ask a question, you can't do anything unless you're a member of that channel. YouTube member of that channel. So it's kind of a neat way to do it.
Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah, and that is good, because there is a benefit to being a member in the place where the membership is being paid for and served.
Yep.
And then that creates that environment in that place. All these exclusive people getting, having FOMO or getting in with their friends and being able to have this amazing access to this creator. Like that to me makes a lot of sense. I think right now we're in this incredible phase where people have been spitting out the C word, the community word, over and over again for the last sort of 6-12 months. And every single platform is rolling out memberships. Instagram's rolling out memberships. Who else recently? Somebody else big just said,
Twitter's got a
yeah,
subscriber thing. Twitter's got some kind of subscriber button they're about
there
to
you
roll
go.
out, I think.
Absolutely every single platform is going to have this. And it's going to be really tough, I think, for creators like us who want to do so many different things and are getting lots of advice like, try this, try this, try this. It's like, okay, where do we actually, what is our business model, what we're going to provide to people that's special? Where is that extra value? So, for example, being able to bring people into my Discord and then answering their questions specifically faster because they're part of my group, providing my mentoring in there, all that kind of thing. It makes sense that that is a place where the memberships happen because that's the product that I'm providing, or the service that I'm providing. But for other people, it's going to be different. If live streaming is their main value, their main service to people, and that's what they're going to make exclusive, yeah, YouTube membership or Twitter subscription, if having access to private Twitter spaces is a thing or whatever.
Is there a slightly different way of thinking about this where we could almost look at the platforms that are offering the memberships as payment gateways, just in the same way as you accept American Express, Visa, MasterCard, and all that sort of stuff? I'm thinking if we get memberships on Twitter and Instagram and all those sort of places, why not turn them on if one of the things that you can do is give them access to a specific area of the server? So if they're comfortable joining memberships on those platforms, that might be just where they found you, and so they can come in. I mean, I did actually set up a Patreon when Twitter turned on that thing for me, because you can link it to Patreon. So I did set it up there. I don't really have a big Twitter following. I don't really do stuff on there as much as I should be doing, but I did turn it on. And so perhaps we should look at it that if somebody's willing to pay you for a membership through a particular platform, but you're giving them access to all your stuff on Discord and all the communication you're having with them is sending them through to Discord, it doesn't really matter where they pay you if they're getting access to that core offering on Discord.
I'd like to flip that on its head from the Patreon's standpoint. So have any of you ever thought about the onboarding process from the patron's standpoint? Let's say for Patreon member, subscriber, whatever, call it, nomenclature is a thing, right? What would you have any of you really thought through what that would be like? So person subscribes to or buys membership X from you. What is that experience like? Have any of you charted okay, well, within 24 hours, they'll get this. The next thing will happen would be this. Have any of you charted that kind of thing as an onboarding thing for that person, walk a mile in that person's shoes? I mean, as a creator, I know we're talking because we're all creators here. We're talking about what it looks like from our side of things, but I just wanted to flip it on its head just a little bit to say, okay, well, I am the customer now. What do I get when I sign up for Alec, when I sign up for your thingy? Talk me through that process. What happens there? And is it something that's going to be worth my time? I'm just curious have any of you thought about it?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's get them over to Discord, welcome to the community as a member, and they get access to the members area, and then the perks are all there and all that kind of stuff is there. So that's my onboarding, is get them to Discord and onboard them there. And then whatever they get automatically, like on YouTube, they automatically get their little membership badge and all that kind of thing that they get on the YouTube, the way that that's set up. But yeah, it's to get them into Discord and do it all there, regardless of the platform.
Yeah, and for me, I have an email chain that goes out. So on day one, they get this email saying, "Hi, welcome, great to have you. You know the WordPress site. Here's where the clip library is." And I've got a little video that explains how to get to the clip library and how to do searches. And then the next day, they get another email explaining what discounts they get. And then the next day, they get an email saying, all right, now to participate in the community stuff, we go to Discord. So this is where Discord is. This is how to set up. Here's a video that Discord for Creators, Keely Dunn, has made to introduce you into Discord and blah, blah, blah. So I have a sequence like that really helps. And what interests me about your question, Michelle, was the same thing I was thinking about when Alec was saying that, maybe we should be treating these platforms as payment gateways. That's exactly what they want. Elon Musk wants to turn Twitter into a payment gateway, the same that the way that WeChat is in China. Okay. And he's built those before. He knows how to do it. So that's one of the big value propositions for him in buying Twitter is that the way that we as consumers, as the end users look at these platforms? We already are like LinkedIn's for CVs, Twitter's for arguing about politics, Instagram's for looking at pretty pictures and now lots of pretty videos. YouTube is for learning. So we have these conceptions in our mind already about that sort of thing. I want to use the platform's characteristic as the advantage. Discord is a place where people go to talk to each other and in real time and go to talk to each other. And that's the experience I want to provide to my members. So that's why my community's there. And it just makes a lot of sense for me. So I think I totally appreciate what you're saying, Alec, but I also think maybe people are going to be a little more stubborn than that.
I feel like Alec might be onto something, though. Alec, can you give somebody that special icon that they have in chat manually? Meaning, if I pay to get in from your Twitter, if I use Twitter as the gateway, can you give me that same benefit on YouTube manually?
Not on YouTube, no. And that's where I'm seeing that my core community is Discord, but I'm just making it accessible to people on all those other platforms who maybe are not yet sold on Discord, and I might not actually get them over to Discord like immediately. I mean, there's some people who are YouTube members that are not necessarily active on Discord so much. So I'm still giving them the opportunity to join, but then trying to show the benefit of that in Discord.
Understood. Yeah, I was just trying to think of how you could have a level playing field no matter where you came in from. You see, you would have all the same benefits across the board.
Yeah, you can't gift sort of memberships, which would be the way you'd have to do on YouTube, was to be to say, okay, this person's a member, I want to sort of gift them that membership. So they're not there yet.
The platforms are like, no, we want you to be giving your membership benefits on our platform, keeping people on the platform, paying on the platform, stay here, don't go somewhere else. They don't want this interoperability to a large extent. And I hate to say it, but one of the things I do like about Discord is the API, the way that it is easier to integrate into all kinds of other places so that it's not quite as closed off and selfish. But that's the war we're in right now. There is a turf war going on, and we're just kind of going, memberships. And, I'm not saying that we can't try things and move things around and figure out what works for us, but we do have to be a little strategic and understand what the consequences of those decisions are.
Just getting away from sort of platforms for a minute then, like when it comes to actual memberships and, the different tiers, how's everyone sort of thinking about that, and what experience have you had with other platforms as well? Because that's been something that's been on my mind, is how to actually price these different tiers and the benefits they get at different levels. One of the things I'm looking to do is like create a thing where people get access to my courses at a particular membership level, so that then becomes basically a subscription to all of my courses, rather than people having to pay sort of one-off. So this conversation was born a little bit out of that. And what's been your experience of that sort of stuff and pricing of maybe other memberships you've been a member of?
I'm in two YouTube creator groups that have $5 a month memberships, and they give tons of value for that $5. I've signed up for another YouTube creator that gave crappy value, and his regular price was $50 a month. So, it's all over the place. In my industry specifically, there are two guys that call themselves coaches, and they sell a package that's about $3,500 a year, and you pay for it monthly. But if you sign up, you're committed to the year. You will pay for 12 months, whether you want to stay in it or not, and no refunds. And I just thought I don't think it's a good way to go. But it's a niche thing. So, and all you get for that is 2 Zoom calls with those guys, 2 Zoom calls a month. with however many people are in the group, 10 people or 8 people or whatever. That's a lot of money.
I've been with multiple groups similar to that. This particular one, it was genius the way she's done it. So she has a free group, and I've done this with a couple of different mentors, with actually 2 mentors specifically. So the first group is the free group, where there's lots of value, basically just kind of skimming the surface, talk about different things that you can do with whatever platform that they're working with or what have you. Then there's a mid-level group. And when I was thinking about what I wanted to do, I kind of mirrored what I wanted based on this information. However, my why was a little bit different. But anyway, so there's a free group where they tell you all the things, but they don't tell you the how. There's the mid-level group where they give you a little bit of a deeper dive into it, but they still don't really tell you the how. The one that they really want you to get into is the high ticket group. And the high ticket group is where you get access to all the different things. You get access to the Zoom call. You get access to the coach on a monthly basis, a weekly basis, depending on what it is. The way it's all set up. There are tiers, so you can get like weekly calls, monthly calls with the person that you're paying the money for, right? And then you have the how is in there, and a lot of times it's so much that you will want to pay even more so that you can get one-on-one like with that person. So it's genius and it works. 8-figure business. This works. I've seen it work. I remember when this particular coach was just starting out, and now she's on the circuit. She's doing all the things. And so I'm like, genius. So I kind of like set my intention to be something similar to that. However, I wanted to create in my way a similar situation, only on a different level. So, and that's where my struggle with social proof keeps coming in, because I'm like, okay, well, every coach will tell you, high ticket is the way to go. You got to go high ticket. But I have intrinsic problems with some of that when, and I know I need to get over myself. However, I have to be comfortable with what it is that I'm doing. So I've seen it work. And then I had another coach where, there was a free group, and then not a mid-level group, but maybe not a high ticket, but it's like $1,000 a month where you get one-on-one with this person and, good coaching, all this other kind of stuff. I was able to really hone in on what I'm doing, working with both of those coaches, and it was phenomenal. And I was able to actually really put a lot of work into what I'm doing that one-on-one work. But it's still a membership at the very base level. And what you're paying for is access to the creator and access to the coaching or access to the tools or the how. That's what you're paying for. And so I think that's a strategic thing that we all kind of need to think about, if that's something that you'd want to even develop in what you're doing. How are you structuring this? What is your system for this? And then also too, do you agree with that? Is there, I kind of have like intrinsic problems with some of it, but at the same time, I'm like, it's working. It definitely works. I mean, these people have 7-figure businesses based on this, and I know it works. So I don't know.
I think with that, it's a case of just as this exactly the same as a sales funnel, is making sure that you're giving value at every step of the way, so that whatever people are paying, that they are getting true value for that. And ideally exceeding their expectations for what they're getting for that. So I don't think there's anything wrong with, giving different levels of access to people, as long as they're getting good information at whatever level that they're at. So yeah, I mean, that specific thing about, basically giving people, explaining the problem to people, and that's all they're getting, they're not really getting any solution at those lower levels. I wouldn't agree with that. I would think that there should definitely be something of value that's like an actual, they're getting things solved at some point at all of those levels.
Well, I mean, they are to some extent, but there's a big chunk that's missing. And that big chunk that's missing gets them to the next group, into next level. And in that group, you get a little bit more, but there's still a big chunk that's missing until you get to the highest tier, which is where all the value is shared. And it's so much, it's like drinking water from a fire hose. It's like, whoa.
Wow.
It's just as long as that's all laid out and people aren't being sold that you've got to get to the next level to find out what you need, and then they get to that when it's like, oh, there's one more level, there's always one more level. That kind of stuff's really shady. But as long as they are, as long as they're getting value at every level, then I mean, what I was thinking about with my memberships is, there's one that is just the sort of patronage. There's another one where they get access to all my icon packs. So it's almost been acting like a subscription to those whenever I make any new ones. But then there is the one where they get the backstage pass. But just recently I've been talking about giving membership or subscription service basically to my courses. And so how would that fit in then with a membership model? And then would that be part of an existing tier? Would I create a tier in that? Do they get the benefits of the other? And Keely had some, good insights on that in terms of, what benefits you can give your members to your paid products as well. So flipping that on its head. So that was a really good insight that I hadn't really thought about. My whole thing is that I've got courses that are, $100+, $400+, and there will be more that are more than that, and there'll be some that are less than that. And so if people are seeing all these courses, it can be, a case of, well, they would maybe like to do all of them, but can't necessarily justify the expense of doing all of them. And, we all know that costs can rack up. Whereas if it was on a subscription model that people get access to those on an ongoing basis, to all of the courses, all of the updates and all of that. And what you said, Keely, was that was to give people who are on your existing memberships another way of doing this is to say, well, if you're on my existing membership, then you could get like a 50% discount on a course or whatever discount it was. And I thought that that's another good way of looking at it, that you're still rewarding the people that are members, but they're not then committing to a higher level membership where they may be getting access to a whole load of courses that they don't want. So that's the other way around to that. So I just like that concept.
Another one of our creator friends does something similar, and kind of like what you're thinking about doing, Alec. And he tells you that from up front. He says, you can get in at, I think it's like $50 a month or something like that, and if you get in his course into his membership, you could like download stuff or like really put your head down and get some work done and then pop out, so that you're not stuck paying for something over and over and over again and not using it. And I know that could be a thing, because I know many of us have signed up for stuff and haven't even opened it or done anything with it, but yet you're paying for it. And so but that's not on the creator. That's on the consumer, whoever bought it. But at the same time, it's just one of those things where I just want to really try to be ethical about what I do, and then try to encourage people to really go through and do the thing that that they paid for.
Yeah, Alec, you've sold a few courses that people haven't accessed, right?
Almost, I would say almost 50%. Of people have not really done more than 5-10%. Although I was talking about this with Michelle the other day. Actually, we were looking at some stuff, and I went into the analytics of some of the people who seemed like they'd only done a small fraction. But actually, what had happened is some people had gone in and they might have only done 10% of the course, but they'd just gone right in and done the advanced 10%, because that's they weren't interested in all the sort of basic intro to it. So the numbers did make a little bit more sense, but still there is a number of people who just have not touched it and have started at lesson number 1, gone 1, 2, 3, 4, the really basic intro stuff, and then just not come back to it, and it will show you like when they last logged in, how many logins they've had, and at the other end there are people who just get access and then they binge watch it all and get it all done within a matter of days. And there's a few people who've done all of my courses and they've done that on every single one of them. So
wow.
But yeah, it's a bit of a different approaches from different people. And I think when I do things that are lifetime access, which is what I've always done so far. So basically, they pay and I'll be updating the videos and all that kind of stuff. I think once people have bought something where they think, oh, well, they've got it forever, it sort of removes the incentive necessarily to just keep on at it and to really get their head down with it. Whereas that was another reason for the subscriptions, is thinking about it from the user's point of view, the student's point of view. If they know that they're paying for it like every month, then perhaps there is more incentive then for people to think, I don't mind if people join up, they do it, and then they end their membership. I mean, obviously, ideally, I'm looking for ongoing memberships, but if that's what works for them and gives them access to it, then I'm fine with that. The benefit to them staying on is that would be, when I set this all up, would be that there's more courses coming down the line, and so that's my incentive to get people to stay in on it. But yeah, perhaps people would be more proactive if they knew that the clock was ticking, sort of thing, on it.
There's another way you can kind of look at that, which is what I've learned from Ship 30 for 30 that I'm going to be using, because I have a similar problem with my memberships, and that I have many people who actually don't take me up on the things that I'm providing. It's like I say part of your yellow membership is you can send me your match video and we will arrange a time and we will debrief the entire match and I'll watch it with you and we'll do that. And I open that up to other yellow members so that they can learn from the whole process, blah, blah, blah. And not a lot of people take me up on that. I'm like, you guys are paying for this and it's really valuable. This is the thing that really should be getting your blood pumping. And so what I'm looking at doing is gamifying participation in the membership, because it really is to my advantage. If people, for example, I have one yellow member, he's now done 2 debriefs with me. And when we were sitting down for the second one just last week, he said, Keely, I can't even tell you how much improvement I saw in my own umpiring after our first session together. And that's why I'm so excited to do another one with you. You want that success. You want your people to get the results that you can help them achieve, because A, you feel amazing. B, they are your evangelists. They are the people who are going to promote your service from here on out. So I want to gamify that to give people more rewards. And one of the ideas that I'm kicking around and very slowly wrapping my head around with this notion of moving the FH umpires as an operation into more of a DAO is that you as a member receive tokens that are part of your membership or are investments in the whole operation. The more you do, the more you get. It's like umpire to earn and learn to earn. And if they're giving to the community, they earn tokens. If they do their exercises, they earn tokens and things like that. And that goes to increase their shareholding as an equivalent in the whole operation. And they become owners and vested owners in the success of the whole thing. Anyway, it's a really big, fat, hairy idea that we're probably going to have a totally different show on.
That gets me thinking about what I would offer. And I think that we've talked about this before, is you all are teaching in your streams. So I'm trying to figure out what I would offer in a membership situation. Some of it could be like the carve-along that we did this weekend where we did jack-o'-lanterns. It kind of feels like buy a friend. Is that what it is?
No, I don't. I think there's a lot of value for people who want to get together and hang out and do an activity together. There's nothing wrong. There's tons of communities that are built around that. And I know you don't think you're a teacher, but you're a teacher. It's just you're not doing it as directly. I mean, I'm doing with a hammer and like taking my umpires by the scruff of their neck sometimes and giving them a shake. You are teaching them with just the way you include, the way you speak, the way you promote a way of looking at cooking at providing for yourself, all those things. It's just a less direct way of doing it. So don't devalue what you're doing in those things, I would say.
I know when not to argue.
Well, I might be wrong, but I think there's something to think about there, and I think embrace what you're providing, for sure.
I think it's going to be very interesting to see where we end up with this in a few months, and that seems to be a theme at the end of all of our conversations. Is, where is this going to go?
We really are building in public, aren't we? Which I think is the fancy way of saying we don't beta anything. We just go and do it. And I love the fact that we're willing to share this out and say, this is what I'm planning, knowing full well in 6 months' time, we're going to listen to this podcast back and go, oh my God, what was I even? Oh my goodness, that was ridiculous. And that's cool. And that's good, because that's what I think creators need to hear, is that we're all making these mistakes and we're changing path and we're pivoting and adapting and learning. And that's all really, really great.
Thanks for hopping into our Creators Pod. If you enjoyed it, we'd love if you tell a friend about it and leave a review wherever you get your podcasts. The Creators Pod is produced by C22 Media. Dina Taylor, Keely Dunn, Michelle Lawrence, Rich Graham, and me, Alec Johnson.